Welcome to another episode of our show. I'm super excited today because I get to speak to incredible people, as you know, incredible people who are leaders, who are human-centered leaders, and they understand the importance of demonstrating emotional intelligence in practice. Now, I try to speak to people from a broad breadth of industries and also a broad spectrum of emotional intelligence in terms of what aspect of emotional intelligence are they really demonstrating here, and how does that impact on the people that they work with? Well, I'm super excited today to welcome Natalie Bamford. Natalie is, a co-founder of an incredible company called Colleague Box, which was formed during lockdown. But what Colleague Box does is support all of these companies out there that understand the power of human-centered leadership. And also, they are an inspiration in their own right in terms of how they have grown over the last 2 years. And I'm going to leave Natalie to explain that. But first and foremost, Natalie, it's great to have you on here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. What a lovely introduction as well.
You deserve more. You deserve more. I've been watching from the sidelines, and I'm so proud because you're a Derby-based business, and I'm in Derby, of course. And so I love to see our local businesses doing so well. But your story is so inspiring. Do you want to just share with our listeners what that story is like? Where did Colleague Box come from? How did it start? And where are you right now?
Oh, yes. Well, it's been a fascinating 2 years, that's for sure. So Colleague Box was actually born out of a company that myself and my husband, who's the other co-founder of Colleague Box, both used to work for. And it was May 2020, the pandemic had hit, and all of a sudden, all of our colleagues were having to work from home. I myself was actually put on furlough. And the company that we worked for was really, really, probably, as you mentioned in your podcast, really human-centred, and made sure that we all felt valued, appreciated, and used to do really lovely things in the office to make sure everyone felt like that. But of course, that was really tricky to do when we were all far-flung working from home across the UK. So our CEO approached Adam and said, look, I want to send out a gift box that can fit through the letterbox. At the time, I think people were a bit unsure about having things delivered because of the whole germs and whatnot. So it needed to fit through a letterbox and put smiles on people's faces. That was the brief. So he sort of tasked Adam with that. Now, bearing in mind, Adam had no previous experience of this.
So you had to design a box. You then had to think about what goes in the box. You had to keep to certain dimensions. And then, of course, you had the added complication during that period of thinking of the sterilization, perhaps, or the cleanliness and all of these kind of things.
Yeah, that's it. And if you remember at the time as well, it wasn't easy to just pop to the shop. Sometimes Adam would be queuing outside of the supermarket for up to an hour to just buy contents to try and see if it fit, if in this box it would fashion together with the correct dimensions. So it wasn't as easy as, we'll just put some bits in a box and send it out. It took quite a lot of research, let's say. But we finally put together what now we call the original Colleague Box and sent it to our colleagues, and it was so well received. We were blown away. Well, actually, we didn't get any praise for it, but everyone thought it was our HR department, so which was quite funny. She was getting lots of messages of thanks, which was nice. But one thing they did do is they posted it on social media because it was just a nice break from the norm of the doom and gloom of COVID. And companies got wind of that, and one in particular was the Lincoln City Football Club, because the company we worked for were a sponsor. So that was the link, and they said, "Oh, love those gift boxes you've sent to your team. Can we have some for our team that are on furlough?" And we said, "Yeah, I suppose so. You know, we're not going to say no." But we didn't really intend for it to be a business, if that makes sense. It was just a nice thing to do for our colleagues, but when the opportunity came along.
I love it. I love you when you hear about accidental businesses.
Honestly, yeah. And then they did a press release about us because, again, the news was slow in football. They'd stopped at this point playing, and so they just wanted some good news to shout about. And it was there was a beautiful quote from a lady called Heidi who received a Colleague Box, and it said, "It felt like my boss had knocked on the door and given me a hug." And that was the moment we realised the impact that these little gift boxes, and it didn't even to an extent, it didn't really matter about the contents. Obviously, we thought about it and we wanted to make sure we sort of ticked every box, excuse the pun. But it was that feeling of appreciation, that feeling of being valued, and the feeling that someone's thinking of you during a really, really difficult time. And that's sort of when it hit home for me that this is more than just a business, a gift boxing business. This is a feeling.
I guess you really understood the impact on staff when they feel that they are being valued, which is, the very center of human-centered leadership for me. It's how the staff feel and whether they feel valued and appreciated. And, the work that you guys are doing, you realise that straight away, didn't you?
Yeah, for sure. Our motto quickly became delivering happiness, because that's essentially what we do every single day with our gift boxes, even to the present day. I mentioned offline that they're being used for different things now, but the essence is still there, that when you receive this surprise parcel in the post, no matter whether it's from a company, someone who wants your business, or someone trying to recruit you, whoever it's from, this surprise parcel in the post really puts a smile on your face and makes you feel happy. And it's like, the one thing that we started right at the start of those 2 years ago, and lots happened since, is still what drives us today. It's lovely.
What did you put in the box? What was the original colleague box?
So, testing my memory now. So we put some retro sweets in for a little bit of nostalgia and a bit of fun.
Cool, that would have me. That's it. Retro sweets, that's me.
Yeah, it was dabs. Because the idea was to make people smile. We also thought it might be useful to have a notebook and pen, because bearing in mind, working from home was really new to some people. So we thought something practical and useful whilst they're working from home, notebook and pen. And I think for some people, we put a little miniature of alcohol in, and also some chocolate. So it was a nice mixture of treats as well as practical with the notebook and pen. So it was a bit of everything, really.
It would make me warm and fuzzy to receive a box like that, to be quite fair. And it's, things have changed. You say, it's not just about sending boxes to staff now. You're doing an awful lot more. The business has grown exponentially, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're in a nearly 5,000 square foot warehouse now. We've got our own team, and
that's incredible.
I'm in my warehouse now, so apologies if you can hear any noises, but I look around sometimes and just think, I can't believe this started in the spare room of our house just for our own colleagues, and now we get to deliver happiness. I think we've sent over 180,000 gift boxes now in the last 2 years, which just blows my mind. I can't think about it too much. I just have to live in the present moment and daily.
Yeah, I mean, Natalie, I'm sat here and I'm just thinking this through. You literally started, I think you've just celebrated your 2nd birthday, and you started in the spare bedroom of your house, and you're now in this ginormous warehouse. I mean, I think you can be forgiven to be sitting there pinching yourself, but it's your sheer dedication. But it also demonstrates to me, I don't know about you, and I'm sure you think the same as me, but it demonstrates to me how important it is to make your staff feel good, and how people really want that, because you've sent out 180,000 packages. Your business has grown exponentially. It wouldn't have grown if the demand wasn't there. And by the very fact that the demand is there, it shows that people within the workplace really do want to be made to feel special and appreciated by their employers.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And although they're being used for different things, I mentioned the premise is still there, that they're ultimately to put smiles on people's faces in whichever way that is. And I think our original USP is still what stands us apart today, is the personalisation. So inside every single gift box, it used to be a label on the inside of the box as you lifted it up. The first ones we sent to our colleagues was a message from our CEO. I think it said something like, hang on in there, we'll be back together soon. We thought it might be over quicker than it has been, but we're back together soon. Thank you for working from home. Thank you for everything you do. So that message, real personal message from our CEO, direct to that person. And we actually went as far as to put people's nicknames on there. So, instead of like to Natalie, it might say to Nat, just for that real sense of this is really speaking to me, and we still do that to this day. So every single gift box, even if someone ordered 5,000, they could have 5,000 different messages in each one if they wanted to. All the same message is fine as well, but yeah, I think it's that personalisation, because it really means something to that recipient. Then it's not just a generic thing that everyone's had, it's really unique to them.
But here's the thing, I mean, you're telling me about, you could do 5,000 different messages, and in the back of my head I'm thinking, oh, how do you do that? How do you get the logistics so right that you're able to write these 5,000 individual messages? So what are you doing with that?
Well, being thrown in at the deep end very quickly in our journey meant that we had to get processes and systems in place really quickly, and and the right people. So our team we're a small but mighty team. So there's actually only 5 of us, but they're absolutely incredible, each and every single one of them, in what they do for the business. And the personalisation is something we knew was our USP, so we knew we sort of had to get right. So we invested in a brilliant printer, great system, and just got the processes in place. It's still time consuming, don't get me wrong, because there's still someone has to make sure that happens. But we've just kind of got the right the right systems in place for it, because we want to be able to offer that, whether you send in 1 box, 100 boxes, or 1,000 or 10,000. We want to be able to offer that service.
I love that, and you're still learning as you're going along, and I think that's a really powerful leadership trait of good leaders. Those that accept, I don't know everything, but you know what? I'm not going to allow that to stop me. I'm not going to seek perfection. I'm going to learn as I'm going along, which is really what you guys are doing all the time, aren't you? You're learning about logistics. We talked about logistics earlier on offline. Yeah. You're learning about the process to get your messages right. And perhaps you're even constantly reviewing the contents of the boxes as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, all the time, because we don't want it to get stale. We have a lot of loyal customers that come back to us time and time again. We want to make sure that offerings are fresh on there, but also we want to attract new customers still. So we want to make sure that we're offering something fun, something a bit different, supporting small independent businesses on the way as much as possible as well. The boxes and the gift boxes and the offerings is something that we constantly trying to keep on top of, so that, like I say, we just don't want to get stale, because I suppose we could be deemed successful, whatever that means. It's individual, I suppose, but we don't want to ever get to a point where we go, okay, we're done now, we can just sort of sit back and relax, because I just don't think that would be good for us. In fact, we're literally launching a brand new we've got a we're really excited about it, a bespoke converted horse trailer, so that we can take our gifting on site. So as the world's opening back up and people are going back to the offices, you can still have that personalisation, you can still have the choice, but now we can go to your workplace, pitch up outside, and again, it's a bespoke system. So if you wanted to do smoothies in a wellbeing event, we could do that. If you wanted pizza and prosecco party, we could do that. You kind of basically do anything. So it's like our gift boxes have evolved into a physical, tangible, on-site gifting experience. So this is what I mean. We don't ever want to get to a point where we go, oh yeah, I think we've made it. We can just sit back and relax. It's like, okay, what can we do next? How can we offer more services?
There's a quote that became quite popular during the lockdown period, but it's something that I've really held to my heart for many, many years. And it's a quote by Charles Darwin, where he says, it's not the strongest of the species that survives or the most intelligent. It's the one that's most adaptable. And if there's one thing that we have had to become, is adaptable and agile and responding to the changes in this world. And this world is changing quite rapidly all the time, isn't it? So it sounds to me like you've really got your finger on the pulse around the changing environment in which you operate. And as you say, the world is beginning to open up. Some organizations are getting into hybrid working. I think the real where you are going with, taking this trailer to the site, but actually you could do simultaneously sending colleague boxes to those people who are not on site. An organization can still make their staff feel good, whether they are working on site or working from home. So your business resonates with both elements of that.
Yeah, exactly right. In fact, our first event next week is going to be exactly that. So they've got colleagues that are working from home, so they're getting a gift box sent to their house, and then the ones that are in the office are getting Tilly the trailer to come along, and they can sort of pick and choose what they want from the trailer. So yeah, you've nailed it. Yeah.
Pretty cool, that is. So this trailer, did you say it was a horse-drawn trailer as well?
So it was a horse trailer, sorry. There's a difference apparently. I've got into this new world of horse trailers, and it's fully converted. It doesn't smell of horses. It looks beautiful. It's kind of in our colours, but it can be branded. So if you've got a brand activation event, for example, and you wanted it to be, have your logo on it, your colours, we can do all that. So a bit like our gift boxes, that we can tailor make them and make them bespoke to fit your event or your brand or whatever it may be. So yeah, I'm really, really excited about this one. So it's different, and obviously it's a learning curve.
You're learning all the time because you're evolving all the time, aren't you? That's the top and bottom of it. And I love that. It keeps you young, I always say. But so you're now in this position where you're getting a lot of repeat work, repeat clients coming back to you. It therefore must mean, mustn't it, that those clients recognize that it's having a positive impact either on their clients or on their staff. Have you had any feedback in terms of the impact that something like Colleague Box, the process of Colleague Box, has on people from your clients? Has any client come back to you and say, hey, as a result of that, this is what's happening in my organization?
Yeah, we actually get some really lovely feedback from the person from the company that's ordered the gift boxes, to say that how well received they were, how it made their colleagues feel. Like, I mentioned about that feeling of appreciation. A lot of the time they're not expected, so it's that surprise element and just the feeling that they're being thought of by their company, and it makes a huge impact. And particularly, with retention, we've had a lot in the media about people leaving, the Great Resignation and all that, but a company that actually takes the time to acknowledge their colleagues and send something. It doesn't even need to be, you don't need to spend hundreds on it, and that's actually the kind of where we sit in terms of Colleague Box, that we wanted something really high quality but affordable, because your big hampers and things like that, companies can't afford to send that en masse to their entire workforce. It's just not feasible.
See, this is what I love about Colleague Box, because the concept is so simple and so affordable, but the impact that it makes on people is priceless. And you're right. This is again why I love what you do. You are helping organizations to find a way of showing appreciation for their staff. And as a consequence, their staff will want to work more for the organization. It really is as simple as that for me. So when I talk about, human-centered leadership, and people say, well, you know what, you can come in, you can help us change our culture, but how is that going to affect the bottom line? And I always say, well, the simplicity of it is, if you've got happy staff will work harder for you, and that your bottom line will be affected by that. And what you're doing is helping organizations to create more happy environments, aren't you? Yeah,
essentially, yeah. That's what, the whole delivering happiness, and it sounds really cheesy, but it's just the perfect way to describe what we do. You are essentially putting smiles on your colleagues' faces, and that's just priceless, isn't it?
And now you've gone beyond just colleagues, but you've gone into, I'm guessing, organizations are asking you to send boxes to their clients, to stakeholders, to businesses that they might be collaborating with.
Yes, yeah, this is what I mean. The scale and the scope at which the gift box has been used has far exceeded our own expectations. It's kind of taken on a whole, well, there's such creative people out there. And if you're working for a company and go, I really want a gift box for this purpose. The good thing about us, and you mentioned about being adaptable, is that we can say, yeah, we can have this content, we can make it look like this for you, we can send it here for you, we can adapt, we can be there for that bespoke event, or whatever it is you're trying to achieve with the gift boxes. We can do that, and it's really a privilege and honour to be part of that, actually. Someone that's got a really crazy idea, and we go, yeah, we can help with that. It's just brilliant to see it come to fruition.
One of the things that we've not been able to do over the last couple of years is hold our annual event. So we have an annual event called Ignite Your Inner Potential, And it's my one time of the year where I can help people to create their goals going forward, their plans going forward. But it's also a very motivational, dynamic event. You know, we had just before lockdown, we had our last one with 350 people, and there's a lot of dancing. It's a really joyous occasion, you know. I think we're going to have colleague box there with your little horse trailer there. That'd be so cool when we have our next one, you know, and we'll maybe get you dancing as well.
Oh yeah, will try and stop me.
You started off with just you and Adam, right? And now you are up to 5 people in the organization. I'm guessing that that's just going to keep growing. You know, I've just got this sense that you're scaling up. It's going to keep growing. The business will expand. You're going to have to expand. Expand. That's part of the scalability. What have you learned by having people employed? What have you learned about leadership yourself?
Oh, so much. So much. I think because I was kind of thrown into it and I've just had to learn on the way. I thought at early days that was a bad thing because I felt like I had to know it all. I've come to realise actually it's okay not to know it all, because then you can find your own way along your path and along your journey. And I've taken inspiration, not in a negative way, but from past leaders I've had that I haven't enjoyed being led by.
No, this is interesting, because one of the first questions now that I ask people whenever I go into any organization and I'm working with their leadership teams, I'll always say to them, right, I want you to think back and remember some of your best leaders, your best bosses, and some of your worst bosses. And I just want you to put a Post-it note on the wall about what was it about them that made them so bad or so good. And the interesting thing is that 90% of the Post-it notes is all about human skills as opposed to technical skills, or how they made me feel. They were rude, or they'd shout a lot, or they were really nice, or they were supportive. You know, it's all these human traits that used to come out. So I love the fact that you say, you know, I want to learn as I'm going along, because it's about testing what human skills that you bring into the leadership environment that impact on your staff.
Yeah, exactly that. And I remember in a job I had where I used to literally feel sick every single time I went to work, and this one person, and I actually loved the job itself, it was just this one person just used to make me feel just so belittled, and just the way she used to treat people. It wasn't just me, which doesn't make it any better, but and it always sticks with me, because I just think I would never, ever, ever want to make anybody feel like that and feel sick coming to work. It was a horrible way to live. It really was. So that stands out with me the most, because I never want anyone to feel like that. And it's just being the sort of approachable as well, I think just helps. Like you say, being human. I also have a 15-year-old daughter, so she always start the world of work at some point, and I always think, how would I want her to be treated? And if I'm not treating someone the same way in which I'd want my daughter to be treated, then I'm doing something wrong. I'd want her to be respected. I'd want her to be told what to do, but in a supportive way. If she can't do it, is that her fault, or does she need more training? And that just sticks in my head. And she's not even started work yet, but I always think, how would I want her to be treated? Therefore, I need to take on that as if I was I'm not trying to be patronising. I'm not going to speak to anyone like they're a child, but it's just how you treat other people, isn't it?
No, I think you're so right. And, you know, the fact that you're going into this organisation, wherever it was that you were working, and you felt physically sick, that, for me, if somebody was to walk into my team where I work, where I'm the leader, and I knew that they were feeling physically sick, I think I'd failed as a leader. But the great thing is that you've learned from somebody else's leadership style, and you've said to yourself, I will not be that leader. And I love how you have this very simple barometer around how would you want a boss to treat your daughter. I think that's a really good barometer. I always use something called the reasonable personal test. So reasonable person test. So when I was in the police service, a lot of criminal law talks about this reasonable person. And what they're saying basically is, if there was an invisible human being in this room right now and they saw what was going on, what would they think? Would they think it's reasonable? So for me, I often have thought, if there was a person in this room right now watching the way I'm behaving as a leader, would they be happy with that? And I think that's another simple barometer test that you can use. We know what's good and we know what's bad at the end of the day, don't we? It's not that complicated, but so many people get stuck in the boss cycle of feeling that they have to shout out orders or commands or expect people to do what they say, without understanding that actually leadership is more about influencing people. It's more about inspiring people. It's more about getting people to want to do something, and then they'll do it to a much higher level.
Yeah, exactly that. I think one thing I realised quickly as well is that I can't do it all myself, and it's okay to let go. And actually there's people in here that are way better than me at the job they do, and just having that realisation, as daft as it sounds, because it's quite simple. Yeah, of course you can't do everything, but as a business owner who was doing everything at the start, to try, to then hand that over and let them do it. But literally the team are so brilliant at what they do, and I have to remember as well that without them there wouldn't be a colleague box. So the respect that I have for them is so grand, because they're essentially, well, they are a colleague box as much as I am. And I've always said that we're never going to be a pyramid here. We're a circle, because without one of us, it doesn't work. We need us all to be, almost as one, because we all are so important in this. And a lot of them have been with us from the very start, so they've seen us grow, and we've all had to grow and adapt and change as the time's gone by, which I think is a lovely, lovely thing. But I hope they know they're so much appreciated. I do try and tell them and show them as much as possible without colleague boxes.
I was just going to say, are you sending them colleague boxes every day or something?
No, only because I think they're sick of the sights of them.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The impact might not be strong.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's really good, and some of the things that you've talked about there, where you want them to think that we're one team. I think of that as having a core set of values. We all are in it together for the right reasons, and if you get that into an organization and get that psyche into every person's hearts and minds, then I think that you're going to do so well. It's about getting people signed up to a common set of values and a common vision as well. So I think that you're going to continue to grow, and I wish you all the very, very best with Colleague Box. But of course, as you grow, you're going to have to bring more people into the organization, and you're going to have to hire more people based probably on their values, and because I think you're going to be looking for the right kind of people to fit into this wider team. I love how you talk about, I don't know all the answers, and I have to delegate. And I think that's so important. A lot of leaders want to keep a hold on things and keep a level of control, don't they? But you've sort of accepted you have to let go. You have to trust the expertise of these incredible people that you have around you.
Otherwise, you're just never going to grow. If your business is solely reliant on you, you're just never going to grow, are you? But if you can get the right people in, and as you mentioned, it is the right people, isn't it? Because you could almost train people up to do whatever it is you want them to do, but if they're almost like their personality doesn't fit within the team, then there's just no point. So it's definitely trying to find the right people.
I always say IQ. It's the whole IQ versus EQ debate, isn't it? Emotional intelligence versus technical intelligence. You can teach people, you can give them all the qualifications, but if they don't fit into your organization or your team, then you're going to struggle with them, aren't you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think particularly one that's as small as ours, and kind of that we are constantly growing, we are constantly learning, we are trying new things, and we don't always get it right. It's almost that understanding of they're still relatively new, small business, and we're just trying to do our best with our core values, etc. So yes, it would be definitely tricky. Not tricky, I don't think it'd be tricky to find the right person, but it's just making sure you find the right person and not the person with the right sort of set of skills or qualifications. I don't think that matters too much.
If there's one thing that we've learned from the Great Resignation, it's that there are plenty of people out there looking for organizations where they feel they fit, and they are looking for organizations where they feel psychologically safe, where they feel appreciated, heard, seen. And I think that your organization is definitely one of those. So I don't think you're going to have any problems recruiting as you scale up. Natalie, I want to say thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure listening to you, and just being able to appreciate the journey that you've been on and the impact that you have on organizations, but also to understand the kind of organizations that you're working with, because they seem to get it as well, which is fantastic. And I wish you well. I'm going to be watching you guys, because I can see that you're going to grow so quickly and add so much value and bring smiles to people's faces, which is what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.